Welcome. I am Johnny Stanton. We have Reginald Perryman, Shaka Williams. We are Tasari, and this is a There's Something About Real Estate podcast where we talk all things real estate. Welcome.
What's going on?
What up, though?
What up, though?
Tonight we got Charvez Miles, C Miles Realty.
Yes, ma'am.
In the building.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate
Thanks
it.
for coming. So what's up?
So this one though, Reggie got a real good something that's hot off the press.
Yep, fresh off the press with Zillow. Yep. So right now with NAR, the way everything is going with the settlement, so buyer agents moving forward, before you even show a property, you need to have a buyer agency agreement with the buyer. So Zillow came out with a touring service agreement. Basically, what it is that their understanding is that buyers might want to date the agent before committing to an agent, right? That was their words, exactly. And this agreement will allow you, even though it's not a buyer agency agreement, it's just basically saying, I'm going to show you homes. It expires in 7 days, but there's no obligation or fees built into this. So basically, I'm not representing you as a buyer's agent. But I'm going to show you properties, and you got 7 days. So I found some issues with this, but I want to see what y'all think.
That's crazy.
Right.
Like, you're going to go work for free.
It's like what we were talking about before, where I said, I will go out or meet a client. Like sometimes instead of doing like a Zoom meeting or having somebody come into the office,
Right.
I'll just say, oh, you want to see a house? Like, obviously I have a conversation and get to know a person briefly.
Right.
It's like speed dating. And then I'll decide, do I want to go and meet this person in person? And I may never see that person again after that time. A lot of people say, it's kind of asinine. Why would you do that? Well, I may not want to work with that person, and they may not want to work with me.
See, I'm one of them people that feel like that's crazy because I don't have time to do nothing for free. I really don't have the time.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So my time is like super important. So yeah, and I get it. You can fire them too. You know what I mean? But I'm not showing you anything for free or without with knowing that you're not
Right.
gonna hire me. You know what I mean? Like knowing that this is not.
I think that's the whole thing. You don't really know that they're not going to hire you. If I invited a buyer into the office and said, hey, meet me here, I can invite a buyer to 123 ABC Street and have my forms and say, after we look at the house, we're going to spend a couple minutes getting to know each other. And, I'd love it if you give me an opportunity to work for you and sign my agency contract.
But here's
the thing though, the way the settlement is, you're going to have them sign something before you show them the property. So this was Zillow's answer to that.
Mm-hmm.
Some buyers may not want to commit to you as a buyer agent, so they're going to commit to this 7-day agreement. So
you can't do what you're talking about.
I
only see this. I see this benefiting a listing agent where the buyers are calling you direct, and you say, okay, I'll show you the property, but I'm still representing a seller. As a buyer's agent, I wouldn't do this because this contradicts what Zillow said they were creating it for. When they put out the notice, they were saying how hard of a time buyers were having. Like they even used the words, most buyers that closed on their home, a lot of them even said they cried during the process. Not in a good way, but like it was that stressful, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Why is it so much stress, anxiety, headache, pain, failure? Because most people don't get educated on the process.
Shouldn't be, yeah. Shouldn't be. That's what our job is.
That's why you meet with a buyer's agent, right?
Yeah.
So my thing is, why are you creating a scenario where people, because the average buyer call you, hey, I seen your house on Main Street. When can you show it to me? Well, are you approved for financing? Yeah. Because most buyers don't understand. I take you to see that house. You fall in love with it. You make an offer only to find out you can get approved for a loan, but you might not qualify for that home or that price range. You already spent $700 on the inspection, $700 on the appraisal, whatever upfront costs in your deposit. So the buyers lose out going this route, I think.
Wait a minute. Why would they be doing all of those things off of this? This sounds like it's more of in the consultation portion. So if I were talking to a client, I would say, well, hey, no problem. Maybe I can meet you. Have you been pre-qualified? Are you in contract with another agent? And then there's a determination as to whether or not I want to have a dating process with that potential new client.
Right. I guess I'm with Shaka on this one, because I think that if you're serious about buying a home and now moving forward, you're gonna most likely have to pay your buyer's agent, or at least be obligated to, unless you negotiate something different with the seller. So I think you should interview agents, hire somebody, and then go look at homes. This is creating the same scenario where people just see a home online, call, and come show it to me.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like it seemed like they trying to find another way to cut us out.
Exactly,
They're going to, okay, just sign this. Now we got something that allows me to show you.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, they ain't worried about getting a fee. They just going to do whatever they going to do and discount it, or however they do whatever they do. But that's just a document that's going to allow them to say, well, we're not going to charge you for this first 7 days. You know, you might as well roll this way.
Mm-hmm. You don't even need an agent.
I agree with what you're saying, because obviously that's a tool that Zillow can, if they're putting that agreement out and it's going on their online electronic signing thing where somebody can.
Well, they want agents to use this.
Oh.
Right.
Who's gonna use it though? Like, is Keller
a lot
Williams
of people gonna use it because
they're going to adopt
it's a lot of bad realtors out here.
Because nobody want to have a conversation with the buyer about payment or how good a value add they can add other than just showing a home. But it's a lot more we offer.
That's gonna be a setup. I give you a 7-day.
Yeah.
Now I got to flip around and say, but you owe me going forward. It's got to be one or the other.
Why would you be flipping it? Why wouldn't that be part of your conversation?
If you're going to use this form, you telling them I'm giving you a 7-day free trial, but after this I need 6% or 3%. You should have told them that up front.
Or 5%,
right?
Yeah,
you should have just said it.
Or however many percent.
It do say in here that
the negotiated rate.
It do say in here, like, if you agree to retain this agent as your, this agent as your buyer's agent, then there will be a separate agreement.
Agency.
Mm-hmm.
But why not have that?
But you're gonna have some people, like, I meet a lot of people. Some of these people, they just know they want to work with you right now, and some of these people, they be like, I kind of wanna. And it's like, well, and I think that whether they use this agreement or not, an agent can adopt it into their business if they wanted to.
Horrible. I got a question for you.
What? I got horrible. Like, I can't even get the whole sentence out.
But this agreement this ain't about your sentence. I got a question for you though. I mean, this is a horrible document, right? And it's crazy.
I got a question
that agents, if as an agent, if this was my full-time position job, I would feel I'm offended as me. You know what I mean? I don't do this full-time, but I got a question for you. So, do you show houses to people that aren't pre-approved?
I might.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I choose to do.
I ain't doing that.
So let me ask you this, right? So
look, it's one of them things. Like, so first of all, I've been around a really long time, and I was taught to, vet my clients. Mm-hmm. And so, I have a conversation, a very educated one, that lets me know whether or not I'm getting in the car or not. And I close a lot of deals. So I'm just confused.
So for clarity,
I don't understand what that means. What that got to do with the question?
What it has to do with the question.
She's not saying she's just showing them pre-approved. She basically knows that they can get approved.
Nah,
or they have the ability.
How you know?
I mean, depending on that conversation or depending on how well you know that person. You know what I mean?
You don't know these people at all.
Somebody brand new, of course not.
Look, the buyers is liars thing I got from her. So it's like, come on, I'm not showing you nothing without a pre-approval. You're not seeing nothing without a pre-approval. And now it should have been, but you're not showing anything.
You're not seeing something with a pre-approval?
Why you didn't Chris say stop talking over people?
Didn't you just cut me off?
I did not.
Yes, you did.
Okay. So then
that's why I be here on time, because I got to referee the match.
So, but here the question, at least you're incorrect in your
No,
assessment
I'm not
here.
incorrect. This is
period.
all opinion.
But I'm saying in terms of where this has nothing. I don't care if you sold 10 million. If you're showing houses without pre-approvals, I feel like that's crazy.
I feel like that's presumptuous.
If you're showing houses, and if you use this document as a seasoned realtor, I feel like that's crazy.
I feel like
Ain't
it's
no way in the world you
presumptuous
gonna
to
get me to do it.
assume that if an agent decided to use this agreement that they're taking out someone that's not pre-approved. Where does this agreement specify that the people that's going to use it is not for a pre-approved client?
So what do you need it for then?
To show the house.
Oh, so the same
to
thing.
date the client.
The same thing that
the person didn't say they weren't going to ask for a pre-approval.
Hold on. The same thing that the buyer's agency agreement does.
What? The buyer's agency agreement locks you into the contract for a certain amount of time.
Yeah.
This one is a short-term, no-fee contract, right?
Correct.
Is that what this is?
So
Yeah.
what do you do for no fee?
But this is the question I want to ask, right? If I go see an attorney, right, and I say, I just want to date you. I want you to start some of the work, and then I don't know if I'm going to use you, right? What you think the attorney's going to say?
So we got a great one.
Jeter
is excellent for this, right?
Right.
She'll give you how many minutes you get for free? 15
But
minutes?
that's over the phone. The attorney's not getting out, coming out their office.
Exactly.
They're not going to the crime scene or accident scene or whatever, and they're going to charge you a retainer fee.
Exactly.
Now, you may get a free consultation up front, but that's what I'm saying.
You come to their office.
Yeah, why don't we consult with the buyers up front? And I get what Janita's saying. That's the way we've done it for years, right? We talk to a buyer on the phone. Sometimes you get a feel for them. They know their credit score, and everything. They just haven't went through the process of getting approved, right? You meet them at the house. Maybe that house is on your way home. It's no, you know what I'm saying? It's not a waste of time. No. So you just stop by. You build a relationship with them. Because regardless with the paperwork or not, it's still about relationship. Because they'll sign your paperwork and ghost you, right? But what I'm saying for the majority of agents and for Zillow to come out with this is basically saying, hey, we just want buyers to still be looky-loos so that we can still get eyeballs on our website so we can sell those leads to agents. Because if agents start saying, before we show any homes, we all need to have buyer agency agreements, and buyers need to be represented by a party without them going to the seller's agent and not being represented because that party is working against them. So if a buyer comes in and they see this, oh, this is the route of least resistance. All I want to do is see the house. I got to do all that just to see the house?
Yes.
And we got to get away from that because Zillow said it in their little statement they made that buyers felt that the situation was stressful buying a home. Buyers was crying. They was crying because they didn't understand the process.
They have proper representation. So, but this is a way for them to get away from committing.
Right.
You get to be.
That's what he just said. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Don't commit. Just sign this real quick, and while you at it, keep looking at our website. Keep running our numbers up so we can keep selling leads.
This is insane.
And they might even sell the leads to people who sign the forms.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
We got this person. They just signed this form. They just want a 7-day. You want this one? We'll include it for $4.95 a month.
Yeah.
You know?
Right.
And they're gonna come back because I guarantee you they got a follow up. They're gonna come back with the discount. Because whoever using this form as a realtor, I guarantee you, I feel like you're using this form, you're not confident in yourself.
Right.
I feel like your value, you got to start questioning your value. And I see a lot of agents. So you see it right now. The agents that didn't want buyer's agency agreement signed, that's because they scared because they didn't have value.
Right.
If you got value, so like when people come and ask me for a quote, no, I'm not coming out there giving you a quote.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like I'm not coming out, I don't have time to come look at your project for free.
So I think that when it comes to the buyer's agency agreement, now I will say I'm one of those who never really used it, maybe like I should have, because I believe it's all about relationships.
Right.
We gonna work together or we not. You know what I mean? But we definitely gonna have to start doing it now. And it's not about not questioning the value. It's just a matter of trying to work it in the conversation because initially it's just not gonna be accepted well.
I just feel like, so
But
listen,
it
when
got
you
to be
go,
done. If that's the way it is, it got to be done.
look,
And
when you
it's
go,
always going to be a new wave of buyers that don't have anything to compare it
they
to.
don't know. So
And
that's going to get used
they
to it.
come into the market, and this is just the way things are done.
So I got a question though. So when you go to, like you said, when you go to the attorney to be represented, you're gonna have to sign some documentation, right?
That is true.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
When you go to the doctor for the doctor to see you, you're gonna have to sign some paperwork, right?
One
So
insurance
this
change.
is one of the single largest purchases that most people will ever make in their life.
Mm-hmm.
So that's up there with those professions, I would say, right?
I
So
agree.
why wouldn't you be doing the same thing? Why wouldn't you have the same hold yourself to the same regard as those professions?
Because the industry doesn't present it that way.
Because
And
of
it's
the
up to the professionals to say this is how you get quality service.
Mhm.
Right now, people are used to getting a mix of everything, and they're kind of just throwing stuff against the wall to see if it stick. But sometime they'll get a Janita that's gonna negotiate concessions. Then sometime they're gonna get that agent. They're like, I made 10 offers and none of them got accepted and all this. And then they go get another agent, say, I got a house that ain't even on the market yet.
Mhm.
You don't have no competition. So how do buyers know? You got to sit down with each individual agent. But if you just picking up the phone every time you see a house online, and you like, come show me this house, you don't know who that buyer's representing. You don't know the quality of service they're gonna offer you. You don't know their experience. You don't know if they just in it for the commission or if they in it to help you.
Yeah, and so and when I'm representing the buyer, I always get agency contracts. So I'm not one of those people who don't get my contracts. On all my files, you're going to see my agency agreement.
Right.
It may not come the first day I meet the person, but it's going to come very soon. Like, it's not going to be 10, 12 showings and no agency agreement.
Basically, what this form is saying, I agree to work for you for 7 days for free. You call me tomorrow, I got to be available to show you some houses. Right. Now, again, on the list side, it makes sense because if I'm a listing agent working for the seller, my job is to get that home sold, regardless if it's a co-op agent or not. So when buyers call me, they're not represented. Maybe they're coming to the open house or they call me and want to see it. I have to schedule a showing because that's what my seller expect. Whether the buyer, and I'm not representing the buyer, I'm representing the seller. So Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, in order for me to show you this property, sign this agreement along with my agency disclosure saying I'm representing the seller. You're just unrepresented, but I'm just writing your offer.
Why do you think why do you feel like the listing agency needs to sign this?
That was my question. As a listing agent, why would they need that? You just tell them, hey, I represent the seller. Here's my agency disclosure. Still want to see it? Cool.
Well, you may have a modified version of this for listing agents because you're going to have something. Mainly your agency disclosure is what they need, but they're probably going to have something extra in there you're going to have to add if you're showing them the property. Because my stance is I'm showing you this property. On this property, I'm representing the seller. But if you want to see any others going forward, here's the paperwork and here's how agency works. Because 90% of buyers don't buy the home they call on. They call you and then they're like, oh, you got 11 more that's similar or better? I want to see those. And they end up using the first agent they call that calls them back anyway. So I'm not representing the seller on those other
And I feel like that's
properties.
what buyers are going to be using. So I don't know that I will ever use this. I don't see a purpose for it. I'm not understanding why within the settlement I need it. But I think that agents are going to use that as an opportunity to date that client and
just the way get them on a
win
hook.
the relationship
Yeah, you
and
just get
hook
them
them
on a hook.
in and say, I'll spend a week with you.
But you're still working
but
for free, and you still got to have a hard conversation later.
well, you should be having a hard conversation up front. It should be,
But not with that form. You should, but not
no,
with
with
that
that
form
form,
now.
you can still have the same conversation because if a person chose to do the 7-day tours, which, I just don't, it just doesn't seem realistic. But if a person chose to use the form, hey, we'll use this form for 7 days, but on at the end of the 7 days, I need you to make a decision. I'll be sending you over my buyer's agency contract. This is how that works. This is what I charge. And, hopefully we want to work together at the end of this and we can continue with under contract.
I want to know
And
who y'all think gonna be using this. What type of agent do you think is using this
the
form?
the other problem with this, real quick, and I'll answer that, is there's no discussion about agency disclosure, right? So if a buyer come to you, they're still not represented. So who are you negotiating for,
You
right?
gotta when you
I'm
start to
just showing you the house.
but wait a minute.
It's a
If you're
showing agent.
if you go out to
Right.
let's say the buyer calls you on this, some agent decides they need this form for I don't know, I don't get the form. But some agent decides they need this form, they have the person sign that they go see 123 ABC Street and they want to put an offer in. That offer is gonna have a agency disclosure and a buyer's agency contract along with it. Why would I send you a
But
purchase
this doesn't
agreement?
say they have to make the offer through you. You just showing the property. So I'm your touring
agent.
service.
Wait a minute, but why
person.
would an agent not ask them if they're working with an agent before?
Well, it does ask that in here. It actually says the buyer has not signed another agency agreement with another broker or agent. But the issue is, even if they haven't, right? Let's say a buyer comes to me, I have them sign this, it expires in 7 days, and on day number 8, they come to you and write the offer. What's to stop them from doing that?
I think that it's your closing conversation. So after you tour the home, Mr., Mrs., whoever, are we writing an offer?
Let's role play this. No, we're gonna think about it.
What you saying? They're gonna try to run you around for 7 days.
They are.
They're gonna try to run you
That's the
around and
only
get
way
50
they can do
houses
this.
in 7
Yeah.
days. Because you presented this to them, it's pointless to present it to them because
That's
that's
what I'm
basically
saying.
saying.
So you see what I'm saying when I'm saying I don't even understand.
Yeah,
I don't understand this contract,
Well,
and I don't get why anybody would pull it out and use it.
I see the point of it, but I don't see why we would use it. Zillow.
That's what I'm saying.
Zillow is just a way for Zillow to keep attracting people.
Yeah, exactly. It may be an attraction piece for Zillow, but what I'm saying here, sitting as an agent, I'm trying to understand why would I pull this out. I probably would never use this form, but for those people that do decide to use it because they feel like it's a tool in their toolbox, then why would they not be asking them after each show, hey, are we putting in an offer?
So I think the person that's using this
Why are we not
form
closing?
is going to be the person that they don't have leads, right? They don't have real value, and so when the person comes up to them, when the buyer comes to them, they're gonna say they're gonna be scared to give them their buyer's agency agreement, and they're gonna give them this form instead.
Right.
That's the individual I think is going to be using this form, and then that person is going to get done to them exactly what you just said. They're gonna get ran, which they're doing anyway.
Right.
That's the crazy thing. So you're already
This
doing
just
it.
giving them
Now it's
permission
giving
to
them
run you
permission to do it, right?
around.
So now you're running around the world showing 12 to 20 houses, not getting the penny, and
Right.
then you talking about.
And you saying it's okay in writing.
Yes,
Right.
but why does the person have to, just because it says 7 days, a person can put limitations on their 7 days. They can say, okay, whoever, we talked on Monday, and then I'll show you 2 houses, and when we talk again next Monday, I would like to decide if we're going to sign my agency agreement.
But it's 7 days. It says 7 days on
You
here.
get
You
Yeah,
know-
but why would you can't really renege if you having them sign this saying you're telling them you giving them 7 days, so you can't say in 2 days.
But it
I ain't
don't
working.
say how
No,
many properties. you
Exactly.
get
That's what
shown.
I'm saying. You
Okay.
can, like, it's a lot of stuff that I feel like is being added to this
Right.
this form and this conversation that's not actually on the form.
Yeah, but here's the other thing too, right? But the reason we're saying that and all of this stuff is coming out because these are real life scenarios.
Mhm.
So if a buyer signs this, and let's say a buyer signs with you, and you say, okay, we got 7 days to go look at houses, and in that 7 days they only see one house, you think the buyer gonna be upset?
No,
You think he gonna use you
I don't.
after that?
Right, but
Because I think
if
that's
they go
all
to another
you're
agent,
setting expectations. This form doesn't say that I'm going to be out with you every day. The buyer may not even have that opportunity in their schedule.
But he's saying if they
But I'm
do.
saying
we
if
know
they
real
do,
life people.
That's why you're
Right.
having a conversation before you even go out with this. Hey, we can, I don't mind meeting with you. I don't mind showing you properties. We'll see 2 or 3. On this day, I would like to have a decision as to whether or not you're going to choose me as your agent and sign my agency agreement, paying me X amount of dollars.
this is bad for the buyer because it doesn't obligate the agent to provide you any type of fiduciary duty. It's just saying this agent is just going to open the door for you. Why would you want to put yourself in a situation where somebody opens the door when you get ready to write an offer, you've already disclosed certain information
Yeah,
to
I
them
don't get this
that they
form.
can negotiate against
This
you?
form is the form is
The-
to stop. This form is specific. So we don't want to sign the buyer's agency
We don't
agreement.
want to talk about it.
And so
Right.
We don't wanna talk about
here, let's do this for right now so I can use you. That's the
I ain't
only
trying to
reason this
get
form is
married. I
for.
just want to kick
Yeah,
it.
it's
That's
simple. That's all the
Your
form is
7-day
for.
Yeah,
free
but that's
trial,
what I'm
like
saying. Like,
Right.
like I
Paramount.
said, there is a
Right.
gray area. I feel like, where a person can spend an hour or two getting to know somebody. I don't. I'm one of them people. If I'm not doing something on a Friday and you hit me at the right time, sure, Susie Lou, I will pull up on you, and I may never talk to Susie Lou again. It's no
I
sweat
mean,
off my back.
we've all done that. Yeah, we've
Right.
all
But
done that.
at the end of the day, anytime I meet with the person, I'm always trying to close them. And I'm always going to be talking about giving me an opportunity to work with you under contract.
So I feel like the power kind of went back to. I know everybody felt like the buyer's agency agreement was going to be a big issue, right? I felt like
And
that
it's
was a
not.
good thing. That's one of the good things that came out of the settlement.
Right.
And I feel like the
Adding the
buyer,
buyer's agency.
yeah, well,
Mandatory.
Enforcing it.
Mandatory, okay.
Enforcing it. Yeah.
So I felt like that was a good thing, right? Because now you can those agents that were scared or who didn't feel confident in themselves, they
Right.
can say, "Hey, I'm sorry, we have to do this business. We got to get the business out the way up front. We
Right.
have to." But now you have a way around that now. So
Yeah.
this is now. I feel like this is a really really bad thing.
And just because you sign a buyer agency agreement don't mean you can't fire that agent.
Yeah,
Right.
That's the
Right.
thing. Yeah.
So it's like a mute point.
Well,
So,
it's like no, because I said this is the bare minimum.
Right.
Bare minimum. You should sign this. Hey, you can get out of this document with an email or a text.
right.
But bare minimum, you need to at least sign it to show me that you at least considering it. At least
Right.
fake it a little bit. You
Right.
know what I'm saying? Don't come up to my face and play in my face. Like, come on now.
Right.
This is crazy.
I mean, I agree it's a moot point. That's why I keep looking and I keep pulling it up and I'm reading through each line and I just don't like either I think some people are just gonna decide to why do we need this? Like, is the NAR settlement agreement saying in order to schedule showings on showing time, you have to have a contract submitted? Like, that's the only I don't understand the need for this
Zillow is just
form.
trying to be proactive in something
I
that's going to
get that
protect
part.
them.
If we're talking about and that's the other thing. Maybe that's my lack of understanding because I don't use Zillow. I
Right.
don't use Zillow as a resource or as a tool. So maybe that's also the problem that I'm having with it because I just don't understand why we're sitting here feeling like we have to use this form.
Well, we don't have to use it. It was just presented, but we have to pay attention because Zillow is so big.
Mm-hmm.
And when agents that are less informed or don't have the skill set, they see this, they're going to say, oh, I can just use this form.
And
But for
to the
what?
consumer, Zillow is the Bible. So the next
Right.
thing you know, I just talked to such and such. They said they're gonna give me 7 days free. Do you offer that?
No.
You know what I'm saying?
Goodbye.
Well, I'm just saying that you got to start being prepared because that's gonna start coming up too. Oh, well, you got to do this. Well, let me call this person just to see the property.
Yeah.
Well,
It's
call-
just a
call
way to
that person.
circumvent the buyer's agency agreement. That's it.
Here's the thing. Here's one of the important things buyers got to understand. Most buyers call you and they talk to you on the phone. Oh, we're trying to move in Farmington because we want our kids to go to this school. I got 2 kids, this, and that. Our budget is this. Everything they're giving you, if you don't represent them, you got all the power to negotiate against them, right? So buyers need to understand before they start giving out that type of information, don't give out the information without any commitment because it works on both sides, right?
Yeah.
But if you just out here not represented, and you just telling every agent all your business, and then you go to the listing agent to write your offer, they like, oh yeah, I know he need to move by, May 30th or whatever. And they just sold their house, so they don't want to put their stuff in storage. So you telling the seller all this stuff, what you think they're gonna say when you offer $10,000 less?
I think that's the point there is that if the consumer, like what Chavez just said, I'm sorry. People have to stop thinking that the internet companies are like the end all be all. They do have good information, but they're not going to represent you the best. They're not going into these houses. They're not negotiating for you. You do want to hire somebody, which I think is Shaka's point.
No
But
substitute for what we do.
Yeah,
Right.
and I guess that's even before we started the show. That's what I was saying. Like, I grew up understanding, like, when I was coming into the industry, getting my license in my early 20s, I'm like, I'm probably not going to have a career because Help You Sell or for sale by
Oh yeah, I
owner.com,
remember.
they're going to take our jobs. And I've just been constantly seeing it be recycled through like Redfin or Zillow or this person or that person. So it's like they keep trying. I just haven't seen where it's going to be successful. Even when I'm reading this contract has nothing in it that protects any person. So why are we even pulling it out or printing it out or giving it the grace to send it electronically for a signature? What's the point? It's moot.
Right. I
Hey,
agree.
so anybody else got anything to say? Because it's time to go.
Not on that one.
All right.
I just think it's never gonna be like you said. They always have tried to replace, but this is a relationship business. This is a business with feeling and emotion, and you cannot replace feeling and emotion with the internet.
Absolutely. That's a wrap.
Well,